good guys, good guys
Literally
fans
the good guys.
in chat.
The good guys.
Literally the goodest of all the guys. They were our second place finisher of the promotion and relegation tournament. We do have quite a few familiar faces in their squad. Namely Crocs and Kyo, SXY, I believe was on SRP check together with eggs as well. Is it J, Y?
Yeah,
lots of letters, and I didn't get through the entire alphabet yet.
I'm super there to call them eggs. I don't know if it's EGS or eggs, but
eggs, EGS. No, dude, you spell it eggs, I call you eggs.
We've won a lot of Crocs over EMEA's history.
Yes, we have. Crocs is just always there.
Also, I mean, great personality. His debut featured a huge amount of Roadhog play, and it basically had Zero in the chat whining at him for the entire series. It was possibly one of my favorite OWCS EMEA memories. It was very, very good.
And he taunted him in chat as well.
Oh yeah.
So it was the Roadhog El Clasico. Well, I don't believe we're going to see Roadhog, but honestly, his Hazard are pretty nasty too.
Yeah, Crocs has a bit more of a developed hero pool than maybe the first time we saw him. Still, obviously, first love is Roadhog, but we'll see the Diva, we'll see the Hazard. That's the hero pool that I think is just sort of the prerequisite right now to be able to put your best foot forward here in OWCS. The backline for me remains a bit more of an enigma, but we know what Kyo and SXJ are capable of providing. So, pretty solid team. To sort of cut this to the quick, this is definitely going to be a team that sits 5-6 right now, maybe a bit further outside of that, depending on how things go for them. And I think the VP matchup, which is obviously this game, is going to be a huge test of them, how quickly they're now to come together. They've done well to get through promo relegation, beating Thrust Tails on their way there. But the real test genuinely starts now, and I think there's a lot of unanswered questions about this squad.
Yeah, this is a good match to see kind of where they're at, though, right? Going up against Virtus.pro, who we know is extremely established in EMEA. We saw them obviously at the mid-season championships. I think, look, they peaked very early in the season, and I still think they are a very difficult team to deal with, not just in EMEA, but on a global stage. They make some additions, right? With Kev coming into the roster, so we'll see how that impacts them here in EMEA, if that can take them to another level.
But also what you're seeing on your screen right now, so they went up against Weibo twice, and they did manage to actually come back. Like the first time they suffered quite a beatdown, and the second time they went up against them in the mid-season championship, that made them qualify through the groups ahead of Weibo. And it was a really, really good performance. Yes, they went out in the quarterfinals, kind of unceremoniously so. I think it was a 3-0 against Alcazia. But regardless, in the regular season stage 2, they still placed fairly well, right? It was a third place finisher.
Sure. Yep. This team, though, were your best team in EMEA, though, for quite some time. And now, not so much. I think this
they picked up Kevster. They picked up Kevster.
Yes, they've had a Kevster,
yes.
which is great. But Smash at the sort of mid-season championship was not happy with this performance. He was extremely... I needed some translation from Danny, but bro was absolutely fuming with how this team performed. It wasn't good enough.
He looks a little miffed most of the time, though, so I don't know how much stock to put into that.
Yes, I mean, but getting 3-0 by Alcazia, I think is pretty bad. I don't think that you're accepting that if you're this team.
Ooh, these are kind of
we need to see more for this Virtus.pro roster, is what I'm saying. They should be knocking on that top 2 door, and so far they've been kept out by both TM and Alcazia. So,
but if you want to grab that team pack, though, look at that swole bear. So good. I'm here for this one.
And we did see the graphic with the roster. I know I need KSA to play for my fantasy team, but he will not be playing DPS for VP. That's actually JWoo
he's
in the
not
roster.
on VP.
No, I know. That's
why are we... No, KSA is on Twisted Minds.
Yeah, because I was trying to get him onto this into this game for my fantasy team.
You've been pulling the strings?
Yeah,
I love that you think that getting him put into the roster...
Getting him into my fantasy team, but...
Yeah.
I tried to sneak him in through the back door, but it's been caught. We've been caught.
All those coaches kept Matt on red. That's weird. I don't know why that would be.
Yeah.
For that, though, let's see how this one is panning out. I'm very excited to get a first look at both of these teams. So a match. Caster is taking it away.
It's day 2, guys.
It's also bad for
literally day
Zoe's
2.
team too. It's bad for Zoe's team too, right? She has Shockwave, right? So Jaewoo and Kevster, you kind of alluded to it with the fantasy at the beginning of the show, like, oh, like what if they play Kev all the time? Where, yeah, no, that's a thing that could happen because Kevster's a beast.
Yeah, and it depends if this team is like leaning more in the direction of the double, like sort of flex DPS, right? We've seen like Jaewoo pick up more of the tracer duties. You know, obviously can go in the Echo direction. Genji is available for these guys. I think that, you know, bringing Kevster into this roster unlocks you for that to a greater degree. Yeah. Oh yeah. For those that obviously pick Shockwave up for fantasy, that's tough. Sorry guys, but don't forget this team also has Ice Norm and Vistola, so a lot of options actually in multiple roles here. But Gala and Fixer are obviously really solid backline. I think Fixer is one of the best supports in EMEA, definitely like a top 3 conversation. I think their Brig was probably something that like, you know, impressed me the most, and I don't think it's really ripe to see her right now, but we know Fixer can make moves anywhere.
Yeah, it's going to be Lijiang Tower here, kick things off, the VP map pick. How wild is it that like they pick up Ice Gnome to get a little bit of a better dive look there in stage 2? He ends up playing Sim for them at the mid-season championship, right? Like just a bizarre scenario for them to end up in. So VP, they will get rid of Lucio here off of the rip, and then taking the Genji out of Jaewoo and Kevster's hands will be what the good guys decide to go with.
Okay, I mean, this is fair. You can still obviously you know, work some powerful flanking DPS in here in the absence of Genji, but I think like having to use Ice Gnome as Sim was kind of the issue, right, for Virtus.pro. They did the same thing. They did the same thing in Hangzhou, right? They come in and they're not fully comfortable in that meta. Vistola is probably not, you want like a dive tank in that kind of meta, and they are working with Vistola. It doesn't really pan out for them. Then they had that same flexibility issue rather at DPS. So now they've just added more players. They've just opened the wallet and said, okay, we're going to make sure we can be truly agnostic to the very frequent and fickle meta switches here in competitive Overwatch. And so now we've got this kind of setup. Now, the Sim option is definitely still available to VP if they want to go that way, but you've seen a lot of teams who are trendsetters in metagames, especially those out in Korea, have started to move away from that. Virtus.pro need to have that level of agility to keep up and to also maybe set the standard in this region themselves if they have aspirations of being a top team. I'm hard on this team because they have been great. They absolutely have the resources to put a great roster together. Well, and now we need to see the fruits of that later.
They do have a great roster. It's just have teams over the course of the year kind of surpassed them slightly in EMEA, right? They were like undefeated in stage 1. Then a big bounce back there from Alcatia in TM, and we are getting a Roadhog Hanzo Tracer look here from Crocs. They get the Jaewoo Reaper on the other side. Obviously, this is what we had all thought.
So the prescribed response to the Roadhog often is Ana, but that's something that is a little risky to play against Hanzo, and obviously this comp has a lot of pick potential. That's something that good guys are trying to make work for their team. The Zarya obviously pretty good at protecting one of your teammates from being picked off straight away, but this is a matchup that I was not expecting to walk in today at all, and so it's just going to break down into chaos straight away. Eggs, as we're going to call them, goes down early and very low as Jonowich, so has to get off that line of sight, and will only be passive healing from him for Crocs for now. He's going to have to be taking a sip to stay hale and hearty in this fight.
Yes, Croc's going to be able to make it out with his life, but the amount of charge that Vistola is able to generate, right, off of the Roadhog using bubbles, unlike whether it be the Tracer or the Reaper. Ket has to use Recall. Wraith Form already used here from Jaewoo, so maybe a window of opportunity here for good guys.
Yeah, nicely done for SXJ. That's an important fight to win there. Jaewoo very quickly had to use Wraith Walk as that hook was coming straight at him. Kevster, obviously not going to be dragged off the bridge. He's been in this position a few times before. Jonowich has already been able to build up that tidal blast, so Wooyoung definitely healing off the charts so far. And has his work cut out from his Crocs is low and is finally dragged down. VP with this Zarya comp are happy to ramp up over a longer fight, and that's how long it's going to take to really drag this Roadhog down without any healing mitigation.
I mean, it's also really difficult to get this Roadhog in position, right? You have that Lucio ban that comes out. It's really difficult without any speed, any type of like mobility to kind of get Roadhog across the bridge. At times, you see Crocs kind of taking a breather, heading back towards his other side. Kevster, he is more than willing to take the Tracer 1v1, as already Crocs having to take a breather just to get across by the point. Whole Hog coming in here, getting a few players low, but everybody running for the hills.
Fix actually got knocked off the bridge by that. Love to see that. Keo also connects with the headshot on towards Jay, who was down. Those shields very quickly getting broken by Vistola, and once he's run out of those, he can be shoved over by this damage of the Roadhog.
All right, so the whole hog actually pretty impactful there, right? Knocking Fixa off of the side. That gives them a little bit of a window. They've also done a decent job, I will say, of not letting the Reaper get going, right? Jaywu just not able to kind of battle in that front line, something they've obviously you want the Reaper to be able to do in those type of situations. And Gala just cross-map headshot on the SXJ. Is that a rough round?
There you see a captain there, respecting the Kudai potential, letting Gala take that 1v1 for a little bit longer before coming back in. Okay, so no flip here for VP yet, and Vistola actually just goes down from the sheer weight of poke. Now, VP have the numbers on the point, and they'll be able to make it there as this buys Vistola to get back into the fight. Roadhog perks. Can't believe I'm talking about those. We have a scrap hook taken, which means that the chain hook hits will refund 2 ammunition, which is going to be important. So Croc can keep firing like this, and I'll have to spend time reloading before having that hook combo.
And obviously a lot of changes with Season 18, and one of them is like a Roadhog reversion, right? So obviously he had like the pig pen and the kind of like little trap for a while. Now that is gone, back to kind of like his original natural state. That's a nice pulse bomb there that connects onto Fixa. So good guys starting to get something rolling.
Importantly, the right click of Roadhog's been restored, right? So he still has that ability to do nice damage at range. And yeah, it's just a little bit more lethal with that combo. So Roadhog players rejoice very much back to the glory days. Now with perks added to the mix, and there's some very fun ones at Major as well. He can get a speed boost if he takes a breather, or he can get overhealth if he hooks people in over long distances, which is fun. Here is the Dragon Strike, comes straight through.
Zoning.
And that's gotta be respected by Vistola here on the bridge.
And I was talking about how the Reaper wasn't that effective. Now you're seeing Jaywu going over to the far. I think a much better option is Kitsune rush over the bridge here. It's the whole hog just gonna kind of deter them for a brief moment, but the whole hog runs out, and then Vistola just all charged up, just runs right in.
Yeah, a beef moment is right. Roadhog there gets absolutely put on the rotisserie as he gets caught out, tries to go for a decent whole hog there, but Vistola obviously can stave off the displacement effect of that ability for a brief window with the use of that shield. And now they better be respecting this guy. Here's a grab. Catches both supports. Perfect. What more could you ask for? VP should better lock the round up here.
Yeah, this see if Crocs can get back in touch, but 100 HP, just barely staying alive, not able to get back out towards the other Mega. Jaywu just the poke damage here from the far, very impactful as even with SXJ getting one there towards the end. Do not believe this is going to be enough. Not going to be able to use that sim to get a touch as VP in a close round takes it in round 1.
Yeah, and look, I mean, the switch over to the Farah I think is quite clever. It's very hard to interact with her with the composition that good guys are playing. She will hover. Hanzo historically has had great difficulty connecting with the Farah. And so Jaywu can build up a lot of free damage and farm that Roadhog up, especially with the perk that allows you to mark and get extra damage on those direct hits. That really works quite nicely when you're trying to bust up those big tanks.
So, are they going to go with the Roadhog again?
Oh my god, Fixer is absolutely dominant. What is this? Good, some good numbers, man.
He's kind of going crazy. I mean, same with Gala as well. Okay, so now Roadhog, we will see them go with a hazard. So this is a little bit more of a standard look, but still playing the Hanzo. Quite interesting. Obviously, Hanzo great at just getting these random picks at range, and can also put down some burst damage, right? But not a hero we typically see at the moment.
Jaywu really gets to abuse the Zarya bubbles here a lot, providing Vistola's not being too pressured and has one in reserve. This Reaper is going to be a little bit tough to deal with, but right now Jaywu's having problems actually getting within effective range here. Now they're able to do so, of course. Step up, got themselves a bubble, but they just linger a little bit too long in front of the pretty impressive damage output the Hanzo can amass. And that's it for VP. They'll lose the first fight.
And they found Fixa a few times off the rip, right? As No Eggs takes out 2 towards the end, but even in the last round, right, the VP is able to win. They did end up losing Fixa early on, just playing pretty aggressive on the Lijiang. So we'll see if they're able to keep him upright as Sonic Arrow here in the choke, just going to give them a little bit of vision of what VP's trying to do. Nice wall there. Just going to kind of block off Vistola, but he's got some extra healing and some bubbles to keep him up.
Yeah, Jaywu needs a little bit of help there. You can see a lot of damage taken from that Bone Spur up close, but X did get picked up. We saw X, oh god, wrong game. Chipster Start to run him down.
You're just combining eggs and Kedster. Eggs.
No, I cover a player called Extra in a different game. That's why it's so difficult. But pulse bomb there dropped by Vistola. He's able to ignore it there as SXJ can't find the stick. Here, Crocs wants to come forward now. Jagged Wall used to pop himself up, makes him a bit of an easy target. Though he's benefiting from that increased healing, but Vistola is full charge and ready to rumble. It's an easy pick off. Tidal Blast here. SXJ gets it pretty deep. But nothing really comes of it.
No, Gala actually times the Suzu with like the explosion there pretty nicely. And Vestola on that off angle, right? He's putting down damage on Crocs and able to hide behind the signage on the point, being basically fully charged on the Zarya. I mean, he's taking no damage and being able to, you know, at like 90 charge, being able to pump out significant damage that's unreturned. So now this is very difficult, right? You have to work through this choke with a grab in the mix. The grab comes down. It's a downpour here is well used. Just trying to deter some of the damage, but you cannot stop the pulse bomb that comes in from Kev, connecting with 2.
Yeah, grab bomb is still very powerful for obvious reasons. Jwoo's taken a fun perk here because he's had some issues getting up close and personal. He's taken the Die Triggers major perk, which allows him to actually right click to fire a longer range volley from both shotguns. So it feels almost like Roadhog's secondary fire in a way. Lets him able at least get some damage down now with that Death Blossom ready at those more extended range.
Keo as well. So now they're going to go with a Reaper of their own here as Croc's extremely low, almost like traps himself there with his own Jagged Wall.
Jwoo, though, just so much more equity in that Reaper fight with those Zarya bubbles being given over. Vistola is perma 100 charge, or at least it feels that way. This is the matchup that SXJ is going to be looking for a lot of the time, and eventually Fix is going to have to succumb. But Eggs goes down across the map as well, and with Kitsune Rush in play, Virtus.pro are making full use of that haste buff. Jwoo is tearing them to shreds on the Reaper.
I mean, honestly, no, SXJ has found the backline a few times, right? I know we Fixa kind of leading the team you know, for VP in terms of deaths, right? As I know sitting at 5, so they've been able to actually deal with him you know, a decent number of times. And I know SXJ, that's like I'm talking about, does it yet again. It's just they haven't been able to convert these into fight wins.
And it's getting awful close to the wire now for Good Guys. They've got some great ultimates. X just needs to stay alive to use the Kitsune Rush, and it's not to be. Keo also run over by Jwoo, whose Death Blossom still hasn't been needed and may never be. Spike block here. Into Jwoo has to double back a little bit now, but he's gotten himself a Tidal Blast and he's trying to get use out of it. Crush just heads for the hills. No interest in facing that knockdown head on. He'll get one himself. Tidal Blast now on the hazard. Jwoo simply rate walks away from its effect. Jonovich goes down. At least there was a Kitsune Rush opportunity there in the end for Eggs as he lays it down on the point. But they are without their Wooyoung, so work cut out for Eggs in terms of the healing department. And SSJ is looking. Yeah, he's looking for the Wooyoung, and Fix is playing very safe up there in the back.
And VP just backs out for just a brief second there, just trying to get everybody all healed up. Nice bubble there from Vistola, blocks this up for getting hit with the downpour, but Fix a hit with it directly behind him. So Good Guys should be able to win this fight. Send it to just one more fight to decide this round of Lijiang Tower.
That's really well done. Vistola needs to get away, needs to keep that charge. It's not to be. Dad Blossom, Graviton Surge, traded for it though. Oh no, Good Guys have walked straight into the trap. Virtus.pro now have a 5v3, and Good Guys are desperately trying to reassemble themselves to have some sort of contest opportunity. We're going to see a flip here in a moment. SXJ can't afford to give his life up for it, and he agrees. Recalls on out. Eggs under pressure once more. Flip back for Virtus.pro and now Pulse Bomb ready for Kester to deploy a Wrecking Ball out of the gates for Crocs, but SXJ ultimately fell, and Keo has to use a premature rate walk now to play inside that Kitsune Rush, which would, in fairness, built very quickly by Eggs. That's a stick though. Keo goes down before the bomb can detonate, and that'll be Virtus.pro locking it up on Lijiang Tower.
It's very close there towards the end, right? Even our first map was pretty competitive, but VP takes care of business. A lot of Reaper there ended up from both sides. As Jwoo kind of pops off almost 30 limbs, finishes with 29 in a good amount of damage. But I mean, look at Vistola on the Zarya. I mean, Vistola on the Zarya putting insane damage down, and then you fix it with 10k damage. I mean, I was talking about how aggressive he was playing and how many deaths he ends up having, but yeah, I mean, turning that aggression into good offense.
Yeah, and he didn't even invest in making his primary fire more strong with 3 droplets. He goes for the double wave.
I mean, he's got almost as much damage as their support line.
Yeah, more damage than Kyo as well. I think that makes a big difference. Jwoo is really set up to succeed in this scenario, playing alongside Azaya. And I think much in the same vein as Landon discussed yesterday, it's likely Virtus.pro are trying a couple things out in this kind of matchup, right? Just trying to see what works. I like that Goud has gone for the major perk that really empowers that Suzu to give cooldown reduction. I think, giving that Suzu to your Zarya and having more frequent bubbles is extremely powerful, especially as it allows Jwoo to play with that higher level of impunity.
Yeah, it's a filthy combination. I thought Jwoo took a little bit for him to get rolling on the Reaper, but once he did, I mean, it was just lights out, as I see here using that Wraith form, just trying to get behind Crocs. Crocs too good though. With the whole hog, I think the Roadhog may have been just like a round one type of okay, we can maybe run it here, see how it works out. It almost ends up paying off. I don't think we'll see it the rest of the series.
No, I do want to see Crocs stick to his guns, and there is a lot of environmental kill potential on this map. Maybe feeling that Roadhog is in a powerful position, but it does open up for this Pharah pick that really to me resembles a pretty strong counter to Hanzo and any comps that really don't feature like strong, reliable hit scan pressure. Hanzo though able to put out a huge amount of damage. We saw that from Kyo here on Control Center. The Zarya Reaper combination for Virtus.pro is something they were really happy just to exploit, for the entirety of the map. And like we mentioned, Fixer on the Lijiang Tower to do a lot of work and playing from those extra safe positions. SXJ is someone we tried to highlight or just look towards as someone who could put pressure on that less mobile backline, but ultimately it didn't come, frequently enough to hamstring the healing output of Virtus.pro.
Yeah, and I'll be curious as VP kind of evolves through this stage of like where they start to work some of these other players in, right? Like, does Shockwave, like, what is his role on this roster now? Like, Ice Gnome as well, right? I think we kind of have a good idea of like when he's going to play and how they're going to use him. But now with the DPS line, right? I think real questions about how they're going to kind of cycle these players in and out.
Yeah, I still think you really want to open that Freya Sojourn option up for you throughout the course of the series. I think Shockwave's going to get plenty of run on those more relevant maps here. But Lijiang Tower, that kind of control map makes perfect sense here to play like a strong frontline damage dealer, especially given what Crocs' hero pool has shown itself to be. And it gets the hazardness that Jwoo was behind the play a little bit, or having to make those quick TPs into get around the battlefield. They've made that easy for Reaper map with the minor perk that makes the cast time better for Shadow Step, but also reduces its length, so you can zip around the map a little bit more and just make sure you're always at effective range.
I mean, there's also worlds in which Kevster stays in and they take out like Jwoo for Shockwave, right? Because we saw Jwoo had to come out at times during Stockholm because couldn't play the sim, right? And they have to bring in Ice Gnome. So Kev can play just about everything, right? That's kind of his best kind of trait, I would say, is like a DPS player, right? Can pick up everything really fast, can play everything at a very high level. Maybe not the best in the world at one specific hero, but I know he's up there in the upper echelon in a bunch of different ones, right? So I think that's kind of where he excels and can fit into the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Virtus.pro, I think, going to show us a lot more than what we've seen so far, given their depth of their bench. And here it is. Shockwave's going to be subbed in pretty much straight away.
I'm basically a mind reader. Look at this. Coming in for Jwoo as well.
It's a bit low hanging though, isn't it? I think it's like a kind of a safe bet as we head into some of these maybe longer sideline maps.
No, not a safe bet. Not a safe bet.
Yeah.
I mean, Zoe's team getting some love now.
Team.
Yeah, I mean, just unfair. I tried to get KSA onto this roster. I don't know what he would have played, but didn't work
some
out.
Strings with the commish.
Yeah, we'll have to wait for next week. But yeah, no, I think Shockwave coming in for Jwoo. Jwoo plays a lot of the Tracer, right? At his really high level, can play Genji, but maybe for some of that other stuff, and for a little bit more flexibility, and you want to leave him, put him on the bench and leave Kevster in, right? So I think it's that crazy.
Kev's getting a lot of run early on here for Virtus.pro, so clearly Smash has managed to find a niche for him to.
Well, I also feel like Kev's not a difficult player to work with, right? And kind of slot in. I think it's a lot easier to work a DPS player in than all right, here, throw a tank in on 2 weeks' notice or something like that.
Yeah. I would suggest though that Kevster joining this team, fortunately Sim is not in vogue anymore, but Kevster was not playing Sim at all on the Ultimates. That was actually the issue for that team. Christopher was like, dude, I can't put
but can he play it? Can he play it better than Ice Gnome could? Not saying Ice Gnome Sim was bad, but to have your secondary tank have to come in, can he play it better than that?
Dude, I'm not even convinced.
I mean,
I'm genuinely not even convinced. We have this idea, right, that like these guys that only play tank when they get into ranked and that kind of stuff. But that's obviously not the case.
I saw some clips of the Super Genji out there in the wild again.
Yep. No, yeah, we've seen that floating around a bit. That was a legendary moment. And he actually won that game pretty convincingly. It was like a Route 66 map, if I'm not mistaken. So at this level, you can expect a relative amount of flexibility, but Virtus.pro have loaded up their roster with extra DPS and tank players just to ensure that, to make sure at the highest level they can offer every kind of look.
What map do you think they pick for good guys? I mean, we see basically I'm almost, until somebody picks New Queen Street, I'm basically just penciling in Esperanza for every push. We've also seen Atlas become way more popular. I think
Suravasa.
Gibraltar, maybe there's a handful of teams in EMEA that'll pick it, but I think that one is kind of one that teams are going to try and stay away from.
How do you feel about, like, now Rialto is back in the map pool?
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's like a generally like a solid one? It feels like it lends itself to a pretty specific kind of play where, like, you get that Widow on the attack side and you can maybe mix in more of those like less mobile tanks. We usually see Sigma all the time on this map. Obviously it's not in vogue.
I like it from the standpoint that, I mean, just look at the maps that it's in with, right? I was just talking about how Gibraltar, you really don't want to play, like, EMEA teams just don't really love to play it. Junkertown is like very feast or famine, especially when it comes to the Widow play. Yeah. So it seems like Rialto Esperanza might just be like pretty consistent here in EMEA. Would guys get rid of the Zarya here off the rip? So clearly the Zarya was very impactful. They don't want to see it. Maybe it feels like they kind of ruined some of the plans they potentially would have. And then the Kiri gone here from the side of VP.
Okay, so it denies Lucio Kiri comps pretty entirely. Virtus.pro, of course, more than happy to work a double flex in. So taking the Kiri out here, we're going to see good guys tested a little bit more in terms of what their backline can provide. Last time we saw this map in EMEA, it was a Lucio ban. So we were looking at double flex. Here, I imagine Wuyong gets some run alongside Lucio. We did see that in the previous series where teams tried that out, and it seemed fine, honestly, especially if you're running a Hazard who has, built-in damage mitigation. D.Va obviously offers you the same with that defense matrix here, so plenty of options for Vistola. I feel like he just locks D.Va, he just windmill slams that and goes for it.
Yeah, probably, right? I mean, why? I mean, yeah, I think it's probably D.Va for Vistola. Like, there's no real reason. I was like, could you see him go to even something we've seen like in the past, but like there's no reason to play like a Sigma or anything like in the current current meta. So yeah, you'll just see him insta lock that D.Va extremely strong at the moment. Maybe they do want to play Roadhog again, question mark, but we'll see.
I just don't even think Zarya is good on this map. You have like zero verticality with that hero. Okay,
I mean, I also would say I don't think Roadhog is very good on.
Okay, you know what?
But
that's probably true and real, honestly. But they're on the attack side, so we'll give them a chance. We do actually get the more rare cameo of the Ana and the Wuyong setup. You can really juice up one of those individual heroes here. I don't think we'll see both ults committed, but you'll notice that these support ultimates here, neither are team-wide. Yeah, so it's...
I like Ana here because there's so much high ground to hide behind as well, right? Like just pulling at a distance. So they're going to play the Roadhog here again.
Widow for Shockwave. Decent sidelines as we get around this corner. Not so much early on. And again, I think it's tough here for the Ana and Wuyong to play against Widow at times. Both relatively easy to pick off. His SXJ already trying to wend his way towards that back line, but it'll be attended to very quickly by that peel. Kyo wins out the sniper duel, apparently. Hanzo downs Widowmaker. Kyo, of course, he represents a lot of threat up close to someone like D.Va with the Storm Arrow. Just can send those shots in, but Kevster is able to drag the Ana down. So that's a large portion of that healing now off the table.
But it's also risky playing. You're going to have actually Vistola lose his mech here. But playing the Roadhog, although you do have an Ana of your own, right? There's obviously no Suzu available in the mix, or no cleanse, right? So these bio grenades are going to be like horrible for Crocs to deal with. Really just trying to avoid them at all costs, working his way over here towards the Mega.
I think that makes the comp matchup pretty bad for good guys overall. I think a lot hinges on what the Widow and Hunter respectively are able to accomplish for their respective teams, and that's pretty good. Kyo deals with Kevster. Really supposed to be a strong matchup for the Tracer to win out there, but a headshot will solve your problems more likely than not. Still under a lot of pressure now, but can just abscond to the high ground and not be chased. That's one of the reasons why D.Va is just so good here. And eventually Shockwave has opened up the account. He's found the Ana.
This is going to allow them to build up towards that Nano rather quickly. But Keo yet again, another nice shot on the Hanzo. I mean, a few nice pickoffs for him off the rip. Procs on a little bit of a flank, gets Gala here, so there's no Nano. This might be this first point in favor of the good guys.
If this is the good guys' signature comp, I'm here for it. It's so scrappy, it's so pick-oriented. It leans heavily on the
D.Va Vistola just gets Jono, and now you're going to have Kev back on the points. This one not entirely over just yet.
No, Shockwave coming back off respawn. That advantage here for Virtus.pro with a Nano Tracer. Oh, jeez, that was beautiful. Bionade there came on in from Gala to set that one up, and Shockwave is able to finish the kill on the Baptiste pretty easily. Good guys are hoping that this immortality field can give Crocs a reprieve when he's hit with the Bionade, but yeah, it's an ugly matchup for good guys.
Man, I thought that was going to be it there for good guys to take that first checkpoint. So Keo has really been on fire on the Hanzo, but you know, a few pickoffs here already. I know a large amount of damage, but now FACEIT takes out SXJ. You're going to have to wait here a little bit for your Tracer, right? No pressure onto that back line. The card is going to move backwards. It's starting to get pretty good here for VP.
I guess that good guys have some decent ultimates, but it's really hard. I think outside of sticking the Tidal Blast onto SXJ to really make these work in concert effectively. Pistola here again. As soon as he feels like there's some threat coming, he gets out of there. That's the immortality field pop relatively early in the fight, which is cleared rapidly by Shockwave. And X is under an extreme amount of duress here. Could say the same for the Lijiang of Jono, who falls. Fixer finds him with an orb across the map.
Self-destruct here used by Vistola just to get a mech back, and although those Crocs does get rid of Fixa, I mean, that's going to be both supports gone here for good guys. They're having a difficult time even working their way through the choke, as Vistola going to fly here, get out of dodge, as Crocs maybe looking to make a change here. The change a little bit late, though. We're down to 20 seconds on the clock.
The Widow switch for Keo. Will it be enough to answer Shockwave? The Hanzo honestly was the least of the concerns for good guys. That's a pick though, nicely done. Fix it down, both teams trade their Lijiang's out. And now it's going to be Baptiste versus Ana for the lion's share of that healing. Fortunately, Crocs was on that wrecking ball now, so it could be a little bit more self-sufficient. Keo was expecting a visit at some point from Kevster, and now FACEIT is in play for Shockwave. Gives him a distinct edge. It's going to force Keo into less ideal spots. Takes a hit as he drops down, and Kevster finishes the job. Nicely from Gala. Now, this is becoming unserious very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, they had their chance, right? When Vistola's in like Baby D.Va gets Jono in. The cart is basically underneath the bridge. Does not need much longer to go, but VP clutching out that fight, I mean, that's kind of where things start to fall apart.
Yeah, they come back off with a bunch of ultimates and a nano for Kevster to make that contest much easier. I don't even know where we ended up seeing the title blast from Virtus.pro go. They feel like they were a bit of a footnote, underneath Kevster, consistently assassinating backliners, and some nice shots being hit there by Shockwave. 10 eliminations for him. Kevster just doing his thing. This feels like kind of idealized circumstances for this Tracer Maestro.
Yeah, Keo with the 2,900 damage and a few early pickoffs, so maybe a bright spot there for the good guys. So we'll see Keo on the Widow here. As Croc's gonna end up playing the Winston, so gonna ditch that Roadhog here on defense. The Winston that was gonna have a tough time match so against this D.Va.
Also, I don't think Winston likes to tangle with Freya at all. That's quite difficult, especially just getting slowed in your tracks. Winston's got a few things in the kit now. I kind of like the perk that allows him to throw his bubble forwards. Helps with those dives a lot. Means you have to game them a lot less and can really go for the throat and not have to worry about getting slept here. But no reason here not to expect Virtus.pro to make short work of good guys here. Now they don't even get that first checkpoint. They're on the Winston, which will be having to tangle with this D.Va and with this Freya. Kevster back on the Tracer as you would expect. Virtus.pro best foot forward now to try and claim Rialto.
And if you're VP, what it kind of feels like is if you can get one pick off, you essentially then just make this a one team fight game, right? If you can get a pick off here, they're going to have to back out, and you're basically in that fight underneath the underpass at that point. So if you're VP, just how do you manufacture this first pick off? It almost even doesn't even matter. The target is already been a decent amount of payload progress thus far.
Look at this immediately. As soon as Crocs tries to drop down on Gala, Pistola creates that spacing and forces the Winston out. The car barely slowed down.
Kevs are in position up on the high ground here as well on a flank, so you lose Keo, so that's your kind of like long range damage output there, completely gone. You're going to lose Jono here as well, so the cart will continue to move as players just kind of spread out so far here from the good guys. I mean, nothing Eggs can do to kind of keep himself alive there against Kev, and now you're going to have that one final fight I was talking about.
Yeah, this is pretty cooked, folks. You can talk this one up. Good guys, of course, with some spawn advantage, but Virtus.pro haven't lost any players, and they are respecting these Widow sightlines immensely. Fixer playing outside of Keo's purview for the entirety of this round, and that's still on a
jump back. Yeah,
that's the death knell, 100%. Good guys now really will only be able to use their Tracer to contest, and John Witch and Eggs don't have any ultimates to empower SXJ, so they'll eventually just fall under this war of attrition. Keo here, well, the fight doesn't really matter as the card slots through at Virtus.pro, snap Rialto up in a matter of seconds.
And once they actually get Crocs there, you know, he gets hit with a pulse bomb and then kind of like jumps out. There's nothing they can really do. I mean, SXJ can only just kind of, you know, exist on the payload for that long as we take a look at the scoreboard here to close things out. I mean, Gala with a very good game, right? You know, above 3k damage. It was significant amount of healing over, you know, just about everybody else in the lobby. And then Kepster in that Tracer battle, man. I mean, you know, 5,900 damage to 2,300 on the other side.
Yeah, it feels like the comps didn't matter hugely here. Just on an individual level, Virtus.pro were able to stand tall. Good guys maybe could have done themselves some more favors in you know, picking a little bit to strength in this matchup as opposed to those individual strengths. I like the Hanzo play early was good, right? That gives you that verticality option that you don't have when you have a Roadhog folded into your composition. And Kia was able to deal with anybody that tried to close the gap on him. This was a nice shot. That was a shockwave pickoff here. So Hanzo invites a level of volatility into a game that sometimes you can use to your advantage, but the problem with the volatility is that it rarely has the consistency that you need in order to win fight after fight.
I mean, the whole comp is like when they were playing the Roadhog, right? Roadhog Hanzo, it's extremely volatile. I mean, there's like no middle ground of like extending fights and like, you know, trading cooldowns and maybe you're gonna get an advantage. Like it's either, you know, manufacture picks or don't, right? And a nice stick there from Kev as Crocs is about to use that leap on out, and I know once Vestola gets back in mech after that, I mean, you see he just pushes everybody out so far across the bridge. There's nothing they could do.
Yeah, like you said, the volatility means you can either snowball a game or you can really struggle to get into it, and that's the edge of the sword that good guys fell to this time. Virtus.pro looking great. Hard to assess them or really cast to a critical eye over them because I don't know if any of the weaknesses that this team has had in the past are going to be exposed in a series where their opponents have not been looking to play maybe the more powerful, more robust compositions. Virtus.pro looked weaker when they had to play sim mirrors in the past. Or, you know, more generally, when they've gone up against the meta comp, the most strong looks from the strongest teams and look weak they're here, this should be their playground.
I mean, they're not going to have to play necessarily those sim comps. I don't think it's going to be a thing that comes back in like a major way. I think we just have a few teams that are still very good at playing it. We'll mix it in. Yeah, they'll mix it in every once in a while. But yeah, this is a series where, look, I know good guys came in as the underdog. We fully expected that. They're just trying, use some wacky styles of play to make this one a little bit closer, a little bit more interesting. It's just not working out. We're VP. I mean, this is a game they should win in this fashion, right? This is not all too surprising. So for me, this is VP taking care of business.
Now, if you're good guys, how do you feel about like Roadhog on any of these Flashpoint maps? Doesn't seem
well, I mean,
amazing,
how did you feel about Roadhog on any of the Control and the Escort maps? I would have said I didn't feel good about it there.
Yeah, maybe on Ilios for obvious reasons.
What do you play here? I mean,
bro, you lock King's Row and you send it at this point.
Is that the play?
Yeah, just send it straight up.
I mean,
just
Esperanza doesn't seem like it's something they would want to do unless they want to play ball. Atlas would be an option if you want to play ball as well.
Yeah. Look, I think you either pick a map that you've worked on pretty extensively and have a ban strategy for, or you go to like a really familiar one here when you just try and let your individuals do the talking. I think that's where GGA are at. I think that individual skill comes before that whole team cohesion, and also GGA are playing a composition that is less about that coordination and much more about juicing up the individuals to sort of run wild, right? They get that Wu Young in there. The Baptiste is brought in at some point to just make it so Crocs doesn't die instantly to Bionade. It really felt like it hinged on a Tracer of SXJ getting good picks.
Is this our
Tio shooting people on the head and Roadhog doing Roadhog things?
Is this our new Queen Street? Is this our new Queen Street sighting?
I doubt it. I feel like that map like might allow for like Doomfist teams to like try and throw a curveball, but we've seen those kind of teams go to Atlas instead and try and play Doom there, which had some pretty mixed results in that Alcadzia matchup yesterday.
They could do just about anything, good guys, I think, and that wouldn't be all too. I mean, well, so if they picked like a, like an Eichenwald or Hollywood would probably be pretty surprising, but anything outside of those feels like it would be something in their wheelhouse. Okay, so Jwoo comes back in for Shockwave. We saw them do this when they wanted to play I know some of that Reaper early on and play the Zarya. The Zarya still well, the Zarya can't be banned out now, right? Yeah, it could be well,
it might be going for like Atlas here or something like that.
Yeah, we haven't seen too much Suravasa since Atlas has been in the pool, but
why do you think that is, honestly? Because Suravasa is, I always thought it was a pretty generalist map. Like there are a ton of comps that were super relevant here.
Ice comes in. So this is so this actually might be
mild delay.
This might be Atlas then, because like this is probably where you would play like Hazard or something along those lines, right? If you were VP. So we don't know the map pick just yet, but potentially that could be it. Yeah, so it will be Atlas. Yeah.
Okay, so it makes sense. So that means VP are trying to position for like a Wrecking Ball style with like double flanking DPS. I think it works really well on this map. Obviously, Wu Young has been picked very frequently here as well. You have so many delivery systems for that Tidal Blast that it seems like an easy lock-in. Lucio, Kiriko rather, available here still. I might end up going towards like we saw the Lucio Wu Young comps on this map in the past. You definitely favor a little bit more of that mobility. How about them apples, Crocs? Stick that in your Roadhog pipe and smoke it. That has been banned. It's going to be Tracer the ban though for GGA. They will be targeting that one again. You can play Venture alongside the Genji. Sombra can be mixed in here, especially for GGA if they're expecting a Wrecking Ball coming their way.
And we get a Roadhog ban, so that's going to force Crocs to play something different, I guess, for the Tracer ban. I mean, if you were VP, you could play Venture, you could play Genji, you could play Reaper, and maybe we see
Reaper Zarya. Yeah, you can just run that back, right?
Yep, yeah, you can just run it back. Well, you're not going to run it back because Ice Gnome is in. I mean, he probably can play the Zarya, right? But if that was the intent, I think you're probably looking at like more of like a Hazard dive type of style.
Yep. Ice Gnome, of course, brought into this VP lineup ostensibly to fix some of their tank pool issues, and ended up being their solve for Symmetra out in Riyadh at our mid-season championship. And the results were mixed, but I think that taking down that Weibo Gaming team, crucially that second time around for VP, was an achievement. They're going to be looking for a lot more here. They, at this point, honestly, caring a heck of a lot more about where they stand amongst their EMEA compatriots. They'd like to not only show that the region is dominant, and hey, the EMEA put a team into the grand final at the mid-season championship, but they want to stand at the top here. So quick pause as we come into the game. Unfortunately, it comes before we see hero picks. So we'll just tread water here for a moment before we jump in.
Yeah, it looks like a little bit of a DC on the good guys side. So it looks like we end up losing a player. So we'll get them right back into the lobby. So yeah, unfortunately, it's right before that hero select, but I think we're going to see something like in the Hazard, potentially Ball here from VP, so completely different look. And it's so funny how like after Champions Clash, it was really like, oh, VP was like undefeated in EMEA, right? And it's like, all right, like we didn't even kind of consider them not maintaining that in EMEA. We were just like, oh, they need to start winning internationally. But they end up now having to deal with like TM in their region, and then Alcatia as well. And now it's like, you just need to get out of EMEA. It's wild how fast that some of these other teams have leveled up.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about like Virtus.pro's run in EMEA Stage 2, they only lost to Alcatia and Twisted Minds, right? So that's maybe expected. What for me was more promising was a 3-2 game between them and Twisted Minds. That was like week 5, I want to say, of that tournament. So they're close. Like they definitely have felt like they're on the cusp. The problem is that, like, you remember they're the team that got pushed to 5 by Quick Esports going into Stage 2. So we were already like a little bit concerned. As good as Quick Esports looked, like VP, we wanted clean games from them. And then they got absolutely pounded by Alcatia in that group stage. And of course at the mid-season championship. So that's the thing they're looking at going, this is our benchmark here. We're very well resourced. We have a legendary coach. Yep. We have the best collection of some of the best players, not from Saudi Arabia. Should be able to not only just watch through this game, like they're definitely looking further ahead than this game, right? This team is obviously, looking at international aspirations, but a big part of that is by being the dominant team in their home region. It's a prerequisite for this point, especially with, all the kind of resources they had to work with.
When you kind of get into like that playoff and Stockholm qualification, like it comes down to the wire, right? I mean, we saw Peps obviously look much better today. Vision Esports the other day looked quite promising. We'll see what they look like against Alcatia in our next match here in EMEA. But yeah, VP's got a lot to contend with, as this region is definitely leveled up way faster than I think anyone could have expected.
Yeah, and I think that is owing to just, Vision looking quite good, and Peps also looking like they've got a lot of potential in that roster. Virtus.pro, we're looking at week 3, week 4 right now. It's back-to-back matches. Well, it's back-to-back. It's Alcatia in week 3, and then it's Twisted Minds in week 4. So, winning one of those, I think, is enough for them now. It puts them in far better seeding heading into the playoffs, right? You want to be ideally a 1-2 team with the favorable setup there. And it was a 5-mapper last time they played against Twisted Minds. You're still looking at us for now, folks, because I think Jonowich ended up leaving the server. So we're going to go to a quick break while we try and bring them back in. Don't go too far. It is map number 3, Artless here, and it's the last chance for Goud guys to stay alive in the series. Thanks for sticking with us, folks. We are moments away from jumping into our 3rd map of this series between Good Guys and Virtus.pro. And the word is that Jonowich's PC is balked. So there'll be a substitution coming in for Good Guys. Skrain, who is their flex player, to my understanding, Swedish individual, will be bolstering the ranks here.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes for him in terms of his play on support. Unfortunately, there for Jonowich, but hey, PC issues, they happen. This one sounds pretty tough, though. I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if a defibrillator is going to do the job. I think it might be balked here. So
I don't think a defibrillator would ever fix a PC.
Let's reestablish ourselves here. We had a ban of Tracer this time for Good Guys. Kevster, too much of an issue for them. And a bit of Roadhog ban in response. Spiteful stuff from Virtus.pro, or whatever it takes to get the job done. Like I mentioned, they've got their eyes set on those week 3-4 matchups against Alcatia and Twisted Minds, respectively. This one here should be a 3-0 in their favor, and especially with the unfortunate issues plaguing Good Guys in terms of having to make this substitution. But they're going to make the best with what they have.
Do you think it changes what they would play here? I know you go to Atlas to potentially play some faster dive style comps. It might change things up a little bit in terms of what their original game plan was for the map.
Again, maybe just plug and play option here for Skrain. Lucio action for them might be the plan. Virtus.pro, though, already considering double flex here. Gala and Fixer, and yeah, it's a map we mentioned briefly that Doomfist had a run. Previously for Alcatia. Chase brought that in. It looked fine. I think it looked fine. I think it was having to contend with, you know, a pretty powerful card. It might have been a hazard look either way. Virtus.pro will TP out, and then Kevster will make a switch. Kevster not a known Symmetra player, as you remember if you're the Ultimates fan.
Could play Genji here. Yep. So that, I mean, this is like it feels like a while ago, right? But I was talking about like a Genji Venture look. They go with Doom though instead of something like a hazard, which I thought is what they would opt for.
All right, back to business we are. Hazard for the good guys, as pointed out. They've got a venture to match Keo. We saw a lot of them on KidScan Heroes last stage. Pretty strong Cassidy player. Virtus.pro, of course, have a very all-in setup here behind this Doom Fist, but will Iceland be able to intervene here? Crocs does make a jump in. Gets a little bit low. Scrane just trying to make sure he's where he needs to be. Right now, apparently that is between Doomfist and a wall. Stunned up for a moment. Geo will be exchanged, though, for Jwoo. Crocs, though, is very low, and it's a while before Eggs can actually get there to top him back up.
Yeah, nobody gets control of the point just yet, as looks like was good guys with it for a bit. SXG actually gets with a bio there from Gala. Really nice play. So not able to keep the venture alive, and this may be kind of just the beginning of the end here for the good guys.
Yeah, kept that to lead point. He was contesting, but he went upstairs to try and help with the pickup of SXJ, so allow the flip to go over to good guys. But Virtus.pro playing the long game, dropping down, only giving about 28% over. They'll be in control now. I'm keen to see them test this Doomfist comp, see what more is capable of.
Yes, we'll see. It was a little bit of percentage earned there by good guys, but now you're going to have this combination, right? With the Ana and Lijiang ult is nice drill from behind there. Put some damage on the Gebster, and they're not able to kill him up.
Flattened by SXJ, who move away from the point here. Surely will start to contest now, as Crocs also opts to drop on down. Icedom very low here. Good guys doing pretty well at pulling this Virtus.pro composition apart. Like in the absence of Kevster, they weren't really able to achieve their game plan. So Keo moves outside. He's got to respect the damage from Fixer. He's done a lot of it this series, but Crocs will take Wugong out.
And Isom still on the Doom. I think we've seen just like the hazard look way better than Doom in our brief stint here today, as this is going to be the nano boost here used on the Isom. He's going to get by a few players here. It's going to be the Kitsune rush on the high ground that allows Eggs and Co to take out the rest of the team, but the Meteor Strike plus Nano results in really nothing here for VP.
Yeah, Icenom found himself a little out of position, so it's a Meteor Strike to get back to relative safety. And he might have found Strain a little caught out here. Being available now for Strain. Coming in as that sixth player. Picking up Lucio, dude. He's not easy to do against a team like VP. Icenom's going to be able to avoid that downpour there and have to use most of his mobility to get a long way from where the fight is supposed to be. This is a little bit weird from Virtus.pro, I'm not going to lie. Attempting this comp with double flag support. Looks like they're pretty vulnerable to the venture. Good guy's going to take the first flashpoint.
Yeah, I mean, I would just love to see them kind of, go over to Hazard here, which they do. I think this is going to be a much better look here for VP. Even playing like Diana with the Wuyong, I still think it's fine. It's just the Doom wasn't really being that disruptor you need Doomfist to be. And I think now you're looking at like Kevster, like this Blade, right, with Screen coming in with the sound barrier here. See if can land a good one going up against potentially Kevster using this Dragon Blade.
Cox here just wants to try and gain a command and of the situation, as this actually was spotted in the corner. Jack the ball here to break up the sidelines a little bit more. That's probably one ability that was difficult for the Doomfist to handle. Jwoo here is going to be able to burrow, and it's a sound barrier, so Screen times that correctly with the blade being drawn, and Kevster ultimately isn't able to put it to any sort of use. Tectonic Shock there sets up for a pick on Gala, and Kevster has already fallen by the wayside. Virtus.pro are in utter disarray.
Yeah, right? It's
what am I watching?
It's wild to see. I mean, good guys with a sub here, just kind of Screen filling in, just taking it to VP, where VP's trying to play some of this dive, right? But we saw this it was Alcatia, right? They tried to go for the dive, and they're a third map on Atlas where they bring in Chase. Doesn't work out there. Now Ice Gnome coming in here, and they're trying to play a little bit faster tempo, not exactly working out well here for VP. They're going to lose Kevster here right off the rip, so another fight that just goes horribly.
Oh, that Bionade as well is way off there for Gala, as Virtus.pro not able to benefit at all from the healing that they sorely need. Great picks here for Keo. SXJ's having a great run on the venture so far, and we're about to see 2 flashpoints picked up in quick succession. You know how I was talking about the whole like Virtus.pro with like global aspirations, trying to knock on the door of top 2 and yeah, this isn't it. This isn't like, what that is.
So like this team though, they've tried to play dive, like with bringing Icenome in. We know that Icenome is talented. It just does. I don't know what it is. Like at least the team just doesn't seem to gel with this style of play. So this will be a nano on Icenome. They're going to get it down for here as well. So maybe they can start to get things going. A nice slash through Screen should give them the opportunity to take this flashpoint first.
Yeah, like I like the downpour that was timed nicely by Crocs to catch Jaywoo as he emerged from the Wraith Walk, and Jaywoo just had nowhere to go, really. Just required Icenome to get juiced up and go for the throw. So, Virtus.pro win a fight. They're first of those on this map of Atlas, and we'll start in control of the flashpoints.
So this is the first signs of life, really, from VP here on this map. So I think it also coincides with that backline change. I didn't mind it, but now seeing them play the Kiri Lucio, this is obviously a scenario that puts them in like a mirror matchup almost here with the good guys, except they just really want to use that all-out aggression of Reaper Genji to put pressure onto players like Keo.
Obviously, Reaper has always had some difficulties with Cassidy, given their effective ranges are quite drastically different. Keo has made space with this ability. Oh, see you later, Sam. What a deflect from Kempster.
The space back in the spawn. Yeah, I mean, just tying that perfectly. I think Keo may have thought that like the deflect was already used there from Kev. Keo gonna go, okay, I was gonna say maybe play the Soj, but no, gonna stay with the Cassidy. Trying to make it very difficult for these flankers to gain position, while VP now, it only took the good guys getting 2 flash points for VP to start taking this one maybe a little bit more seriously, you know what, and making some changes.
Better than Virtus.pro taking 3 flash points to wake up, wouldn't you say?
I mean, you're on fire today.
I'm just saying.
The breakdowns here from you are next level. I mean, that is a good point.
This respects the deflect adequately.
Yeah, it looks like actually that's the bleed that comes through on the shot that actually ends up taking out Kepster. So when it casts these new perks in effect here from Kia.
Yeah, piercing shot that applies a bleed. Kind of nice. Obviously, when Fan the Hammer doesn't really, do it for you. It's definitely getting less and less use now that it doesn't have infinite range and no spread on it. That effect, though, fairly potent. Gives Cassidy some more options when shields are a concern or you've got some clumped up enemies. So, we got 2-1 on flashpoints now. Virtus.pro have at least come up for air. Now, they've got to finish the job. Back on what feels like a more comfortable composition for them. One that is more reasonable, as their experiment previously didn't pan out all that well. Is Kitsune Rush now? Icenome needs a little bit of help, but no one's paying any attention to Jaywoo, and he loves that. Going to be throwing a Death Blossom, though, into a sound barrier. Good heal thrown at him. Looks like a Suzu came in from Gala's direction.
Yeah, I was going to say. There's no way. I mean, he almost actually ends up making it out of the light. That's wild there, but the rest of the team pushes on through. Dude, it's that Reaper inside of the Kitsune Rush with that, just all of his abilities, right? Just kind of cycling. But once they see the Suzu up in the high ground used by Eggs, that's when they decide, even with that sound barrier, it's time to go with that Death Blossom.
This is not that different to the comp that we saw when Kiriko first hit the game and people realized how powerful the haste buff was on Kitsune Rush, like the Reaper Winston looks. Just having those, when your survivability cooldowns can be reduced to such a degree, it feels like you're virtually unkillable. And fire rate with the Hellfire shotguns is kind of nuts when you are at the appropriate range to make use of it. Here's Keo, another Deadeye. This time, Fixer falls, sees him in his periphery and pulls the trigger. SXJ, though, traded out for that now, and Virtus.pro can still lean on Gala for their healing requirements. Virtus.pro still have a heavy front line. Damage dealers have to run through.
He has some long-range action there in the feed from Jaywoo, but Kitsune Rush, I don't know. It's going to be Crocs actually going for the down 4 there. I think everybody kind of dodged it. So VP gets this one into OT. Icenome going to get there and contest. It looks like a few players coming off a spawn. Not going to be enough, though, to keep him up.
Yeah, Icenome had an opportunity to assassinate Eggs, but they had a Suzu. Now, though, Gala's cooldowns might be a little bit taxed, and all they're going to do is really just try and jump away. Can't afford to pay too much attention to the venture that is coming at them. And Fixer is the first casualty in this fight as well.
Now, good guys with control of the point here, but nothing really to work with. I mean, double support ult here for VP Mitch. I mean, that's going to be nasty. You can even, like, there's a world in which you only need one fight. Could you actually hold on to those support ults and just use the blade? But actually, with XSJ behind, kind of catches them off guard there with a tectonic shock. It actually forces out the beat. So fortunate there for good guys to get that sound barrier out. You know, they don't end up forcing them to use the rush, but we're going to go to a final flashpoint here.
All right, VP have locked it up, and they've kept it to their rush for the next fight. There's a flanking tectonic shock attempt there for XSJ, but a sound barrier was a quick response for Fixer to make sure they could stave that off. I like the idea. The setup, though, decent. We're going to switch over to the Genji now for SXJ. No more Venture shenanigans.
I thought the Venture was pretty effective, but now the Genji, a little bit extra mobility. It's going to be Kyo using a Deadeye here, very low. So we will get Ice Gnome, but traded out. Now you're going to have crossover to the Orisa here. So just trying to, like, dislodge, get this hazard out of the way.
Now eventually Crocs gets run down. Even if SXJ can get some value in this fight, it starts pretty horribly for good guys. A trade that doesn't favor them whatsoever. Still no flashpoint cap yet. Jay, we there with you, like you mentioned, longer range damage has yet another Death Blossom to leverage in this fight, but it screams sound barrier to follow this Kitsune rush, which is going to be the decider. A lot of pressure to put on a player to get sucked in here as a pinch hitter.
You lose SSJ though. I mean, you're going to lose Crocs here too, so you're going to end up holding on to this, not going to end up using that beat. This is going to allow VP to get probably above 50% on the point, and then also probably worse for the good guys, Mitch. I mean, it's going to allow them to build towards their blade in their support ults rather quickly. 42 and counting. Healthy lead. Strain without an opportunity for a good beat in the last fight, and SSJ was picked off. Not unlike that one. Capture that may have been from a deflect. Either way, that's the Cassidy off the map. Virtus.pro really not feeling too much pressure now in this later fight. The Orisa means the good guys don't really have the ability to leverage the element of surprise. The Virtus.pro are mobile enough to kind of just give Crocs a wide berth. Well, Mitch, it's another fight where good guys is basically on the run, and then now what? SSJ is over here just completely alone. As a good read there from Kev. And Fixa just catching him out, and guess what? You finally use this beat, but there's a Kitsune rush on the other side. It'll be a sound barrier to use here for Fixa as well. So, man, this one just got away from the good guys, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, Virtus.pro experimenting a little bit. I won't use the word trolling because I don't think that was the case, but the Doomfist doesn't quite work out for them. Eventually, they move to Kiri Lucio with the hazard, and that's absolutely going to be a comfort position for them, especially what Ice Gnome likely was subbed in for in the first place. And so we have another 3-0 series here. Virtus.pro lock it up against good guys who gave us some novel compositions and decent moments, allowed their individuals to shine a little bit, but there's so much more to the game at this level. The Virtus.pro have that in spades.
Yeah, I mean, it started off pretty well for good guys on this map, and then just kind of the wheels fell off once VP decided to make some changes in terms of moving away from the Doom, adjusting some of the backline. That's where they really started to come alive. You see the damage Ice Gnome was able to put out there on the hazard, really significant. And then, I mean, look, Kev, Jwoo, Shockwave, when you have those three to combine, I know as a DPS lineup, you're going to see them put together some pretty sick games like this.
And of all of them, it's Kevster getting the most run here. Clearly, that depth of hero pool being valued greatly with Jwoo and Shockwave, the ones that are sort of moving in and out around him.
Yeah, I kind of like seeing that though. Obviously, with the ultimates, it was a bit of a struggle last stage, so it's great to see someone like Kevster back to their winning ways. Now, has VP been tested here? No, not really. I guess their adaptation skills are tested a little bit if you're going up against a Roadhog, which you wouldn't really expect. But then again, it is Crocs in the mix, so maybe you should have expected it. I didn't expect them to run with it for quite as long, especially not like heading into map 2. But I guess GG just really likes to play to individual pick potential, as evident in the compositions they were running throughout the series.
It's really difficult at this level to win like that, though. I mean, I think there's a difference between... Is
this a result of them just knowing that they're not the team to win? Like, if you're outmatched, outskilled, then you kind of just go for wonky comps and like Hail Mary pick potential.
Obviously, we'll see, like, in some of their next games coming up, but I think this is stuff they just probably feel like they're... it's a little bit of a wacky style, but it's like heroes they're comfortable on, and maybe they feel like that's how they can gain an advantage. But I feel like there's only a cap on that as a team, right? And obviously VP is able to kind of deal with it. Maybe they're able to catch some other teams off guard, right? I know in EMEA with this type of style, but to kind of like get into that top 4, top 3, you're gonna have to play some stuff that's a little bit more topical meta.
Yeah, when you invite volatility to the game by playing like Hanzo, Widow, Roadhog, you're relying on your individuals to sort of stand up, and I think that's fine against a team that is like good and cohesive but maybe middling as players, but like you just don't find those teams at this level. And also teams like Virtus.pro are investing consistently in flexibility and also just consistency in terms of how they want to play the game. They go for like the safer comps or the stronger looks here, and they have the individual prowess to stand up there as well. These guys are so experienced. They've seen so many years of competitive Overwatch play that there's not a look you can throw at them that they're not familiar with, at least won't take them a fight or two to figure out. They themselves are trying some stuff, and I think the stuff they tried looked pretty bad. That's one thing I want to sort of point out. I think that start of Atlas was horrendous from Virtus.pro, but these are the games where you can try that stuff. They just need to try a little more.
I mean, dropping him up there wouldn't have been like awful for them.
I mean, it would have.
They've like, no, would it though? They would have just won map 4. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because it's like a map loss that shouldn't be. Like there's probably no reason I think to drop maps to this GGA team at this time, especially like if it's one thing if GGA are just like focused on like really just playing the sweaty, powerful comps and looking quite good and punish them as a result of that. But there's no reason I think with the offerings that GGA can put out, the Virtus.pro should be losing maps in this series. And if they do, it's like, all right, guys, you need to wake up a little bit. We need to hit the ground running here.
Yeah, I mean, coming up next for VP, it's going to be a lot more resistance, right? Because their next 3 opponents, not necessarily in this order, are Twisted Minds, Genji, as well as Alcazia. Like, those are the 3 opponents coming up. Now, Genji